6 o'clock, we'll call meeting to order of the Ocean Highway and Port Authority. And Commissioner Cole will give the information.
Our Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for all our many blessings. We thank you for this great country that we live in. We just pray, Lord, that you would be with our leaders, that you would give them wisdom and discernment. Pray that you would meet with us tonight, Lord, and that you would give us the wisdom that we need to conduct the business according to authority. We ask now that you watch over our first responders, servicemen and women, Lord, and protect them. In Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Please repeat the prayer, please.
I believe the flag of the United States of America, and to the God and Father and God.
Commissioner Cole, Commissioner Fullwood, Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Chair Hill.
Here,
Thank you.
so I'm going to pull my microphone very close to my mouth. And I would request to speak soon. Right, good evening, thank you everybody for coming. We have a nice crowd, this evening. We have Mr. Van Fullwood, we have, Attorney Beverly, who's a candidate for District 2, Timmy Flinsack. We have, Carolyn Virtue, who's taken a speaker card, Lynn Aaron. I don't see one. Thank you for coming, and Dr. Chukwas, Commissioner Ross from the city. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll start with public comments. Item 6 on the agenda, and these appear to be all related to the same item, the land sale, which is item 8B. So I will take them in alphabetical order. Mr. Beverly, you are up first. Please come to the podium and you can borrow a microphone if you like.
Maybe my own here. Yeah. All right. Thank you. As you know, appreciate you letting me speak tonight. My name is Jimmy Beverly, and I'm running for Ocean Highway Port Authority District 2 seat. It's an open seat. And as you know, this is kind of the campaign season, going around to different venues all over the county, west side, east side, talking to the constituents and residents of the county. You know, one thing that I talk to them about, they ask me questions about, and I can't answer them. One is the land sale. Why is open sell? And they're like, we haven't seen a viable reason yet why. So today I'm asking, I respectfully request that you guys reconsider the land sale, or at least give a viable reason why to the general public. And if you can, also a plan of action with the funds that you get from the sale of it. What is the plan? I mean, other than put it in a bank, I mean, I'd rather just see the land not sold if you're going to put money in the bank. Again, what's the viable reason for the sale of the land? And what is your plan of action once you have the proceeds from the sale? And with that, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Beverly, next up is Tammy Kosa. Let's just see here in a minute, for the record.
Tammy Kosak, 322 North 3rd. I just want to say that I am so excited to be here in person, and I don't know how many people get excited to be at an open meeting. But I can hear you all now, and I don't have to try to figure out what you're saying. I think you all know what all of us, most of us are here for. I think just that all of us. And first, I want to thank those of you that have attended community meetings. I want to thank those of you that have taken my phone calls and discussed with emails, in person impromptu meetings. I think we're making great progress, and it's very appreciated in the community and the neighborhood. And I might just be one person, but there's a whole host of people behind me and around me. I did read the broker's agreement, and under the additional terms, as you know, we've got the moving to nuisance clause, which is fine. That's for you guys. You have the 50-foot wide lot minimum, check. The detached single family homes only, check. Those are great. The issue here is a broker's agreement is not binding to run with the land in perpetuity. We need these to be recorded deed restrictions. And many of you know that Florida statutes 1201, section 2 defines covenants and restrictions. It means any agreement or limitation contained in a document recorded in the public records in the county in which a parcel is located, which subjects the parcel to any use or other restriction or obligation. This can and should be done prior to the sale. So simply having those in the broker's agreement doesn't give us any ironclad guarantee that it may or may not happen with this sale or in future sales. And what I would posit is that, you know, we're all just living here. We're all stewards of whatever our property happens to be at the time. You guys have a little bit of power right now. You can put these guardrails out there, and you should. You promise that you should, and you should record them. To be properly recorded, it has to be notarized, it has to be witnessed, and the only power that can do that is the owner. So to wait for the sale to go through, you know what a sale is like. There's a lot going on. It's very easy to slip through the cracks that it won't get properly recorded. It might be on the broker's agreement, but it could be redlined, and it falls away. So I'm asking, one, that you're supposed to get these recorded, and if Patrick has to come up with different language than what you have on the broker's agreement, vote on it the next meeting. So this can be done before November 1st, before the elections. Because not only here, but in the city, in the county, we've got a lot of seats up for changes, and we have an institutional knowledge of so much of this stuff that we don't want to have to start from scratch again and educate people. Let's keep making our progress continue and finish that out. So I request that you do that, you get it recorded, take the necessary steps tonight to have that done before November 1st. And then just secondly, briefly, I heard from what I could, mostly I gleaned it from the minutes about removing the vegetative buffers as a restriction. And I can understand on for new buffers on Third and Dave that might be prohibited for a buyer. But I would like to bring something to your attention, and maybe you guys can have some discussion on it. These are all the lots. Here's the report date. Here's Third and Dave. So this is the particular one that we're talking about. That's on the agreement. But I want to talk about both of these because existing right now on this north side or east side, a little bit on the north, and then this south side and the north is a tremendous existing vegetative buffer. It's mostly new, and they're boundary trees. So anybody not in real estate, a boundary tree, it could be right on the line or right inside one of the line, and you've got branches, you've got roots, you've got a lot of things that affect both neighbors, and those neighbors have to agree upon what happens there. And I'm bringing this up because our land development code, it doesn't protect us. Somebody can buy that lot and scrape it clean, and then oops, we got your boundary trees. And I'll, you know, I'm speaking a little bit because my property has a very old hedgerow on this side, and the trees are so old they've grown around and into and are encapsulated in the old chain link fence. So they come in there and start scraping that. Those trees are going to die. That buffer is going to go. And I'll tell you, it's a visual buffer, but it's a sound buffer, and it's a pollution buffer. It stops all the diesel. It stops so much stuff. So my suggestion is, if there can be some language somewhere about the existing vegetative buffer so that the buyer is on notice. So they know, like when those houses went down, they can't come in on a Sunday and scrape that later. And then it's an oops. So that's the second request, to get some notification about protecting, you know, and we can't rely on the city land development codes for that.
Thank you, Ms. Rebecca.
Thank you.
Next up, Lou Barron.
Hi, Lou Barry, 432 North 3rd Street, Vernon, B 32034. I'd like to say I've been coming to these meetings for 19 years, but that would be a gross exaggeration, but I have been to a lot of them. And I can tell you that while the commission is good at making a plan, they're not very good at execution and following through with the plans, no matter what it is. This one, these restrictions is an important one, and I think we need to follow through with it and finish it up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And last up, Mr. Bob Virtue.
Well, I don't have much to say. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. I'm concerned about, I see language in the listing agreement, but that means really not virtually nothing, I think. Then there's the purchase agreement, then there's the county. So I'm wondering if a developer buys the land and for a reason decides to sell it. How do we ensure that the deed restrictions that we want to put in place carry all of the land? In other words, they're not with the land, not with the owner. So my concern is that it probably needs to be filed with the county, just like Tammy said. To report with the county to make sure that the restrictions follow through to the next owner, if there is one. That's really my only point, is that I want to make sure that the restrictions run with the land. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so next up is regular business. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. Feel free to stay. We will be discussing the land sale under, let's see, AV. Okay. So next up are, we have consent items. I think all these are actually going to be, all this is actually going to be discussed, because I'm not sure that each of these items has been discussed in the review of options. So we have FFB statements. Rosanna.
So currently, what we're doing for the bank statements is getting them online to do the bank reconciliation. But Mr. Laporte requested that I get hard copies from the bank so that when the audit comes, they will have hard copies. So the bank now, starting March of this year, they are charging $2 per statement, per account. So we have 3 accounts times 2 times 3 times 12. And so I didn't want to make that call. So I need board direction to whether or not to go ahead and get the hard copies from the bank.
Can you rent the statements from online?
From online, yes, yes. But he just wants to make sure we're on up with the auditors. And I did talk to Mr. Sansbury, and he was okay with the online copy. However, when they do, he said when they do the audit, they will need to confirm that it was in fact from the online bank.
Sure, so. Maybe the board agrees that you could save a local copy of the statements in a folder on your system and then print a hard copy,
And I do that. I
Okay.
do that every month.
but that's not sufficient.
Well, he said, Mr. Sansbury said it's sufficient, but, you know, it's up to the board because I didn't want to make that call, seeing that the board is making decisions on the budget for the next fiscal year. It's going to be $72 total for the whole year.
I mean, it seems silly to have them mail it to you if you can download a copy.
Right, when we were moving, they didn't want to forward it to an interim address, so I never got it. And so I just got it from online. And we've been doing that since we moved here in the PEC Center. So, is it board consensus to just go ahead and continue getting it online?
Yeah.
Okay. I will tell Mr. Laporte.
And then the grant writing workshop, I had Christina have that on, this Friday, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting a grant writing workshop, it's $45 for members. And I was gonna suggest that Rosanna attend because she was, invited by grant writing. So everybody's agreement, Sure, let's do that.
Great, we're up to the one, so we're good.
And then, we discussed in the budget workshop and laptop, but there's two choices. So, she provided some estimates. This is from Bella Computers.
Yes, this is a different one.
This is a different one. And it seems like the price is, much better.
And the difference,
Lower.
one was more like a personal individual versus.
Versus
the other
business
one's a business grade, which. we would use.
Yeah, so obviously the more expensive one is business grade. However, Mr. Forgot his last name, CJ, told me the only difference between the two is the hardware, the external hardware. And he said he would recommend getting the, non-commercial grade, the 1205. And both quotes are tax exempt.
I thought you were gonna say you recommended more expensive one.
Well, I'll do what the board tells me. And it does come with he will apply the 2 terabyte internal drive and the setup to transfer data from one computer to another. And he said it might take 2 days to do that, so I will be down for 2 days when he does that.
Well, thanks for getting the quote. We don't have Peter here to tell us if we need a budget amendment to add this. Do we have, if we have the admin budget for this?
Yes, he added it in the budget, and it was, okay, sorry. And it was allocated for 2,800. If I could find the budget. I put it up there. And now it's right here. 2885.19 for a new PC. So that's the budget we included. The one is 1205. That's the non-commercial. And the business grade is 1545.
Is there any reason why you think we need business grade one?
He said I could do with the non-business grade.
Do you need a vote?
Yes, I need board directions to which,
So I need a motion and a second.
Motion to purchase the one for,
Do I have a second?
Sorry.
Motion and second to approve purchase of the, personal grade 1205 computer for this. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carried unanimously.
thank you.
Great, thank you. Next up is approval of minutes. We have July 10th and July 24th, meeting minutes. Have you received any revisions to the copies that were submitted to the agenda?
I did not.
Does the board want to take these together? So
I move to approve it together.
do I have a second? Motion is second to approve the minutes of July 10th and July 24th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Board attorney report, Patrick, you're up.
Good evening, thank you, Chair. A couple items on my, report on the minutes of cover them. They're really the only thing in front of you is the engagement letter from, Dunster in the property attorney case. The court operator has accepted our tender agreements and demand from the individual, are investing the retaining, or that they retain on our behalf. Dunster to take over the case and talk to the attorney Dunster a number of times about the case. He's already gotten involved, he's not yet filed notice of appearance because we've got to finish the formality, so we've got a new engagement letter, it's got pretty standard language, they do represent the port operator in other manners, other matters. It's pretty standard language, and I'm not going to put the question, recommend that you either vote the immediate authority to sign the engagement letter, or give the chair the authority to sign the engagement letter, to your one.
Are there any questions or factors on the engagement letter? I've taken a look at this, and Patrick did have revisions to the original draft that was presented, and I think the changes got to meet the council, attorney, we're just getting that copy again, so, feel good about this, but not really the comments from the board.
I'm going to have Patrick sign the engagement.
Do you have a second?
We have Patrick sign the engagement.
Okay, we have a motion in a second that Patrick would, execute the engagement letter on behalf of. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? None, motion carries unanimous. There were a few other items in your committee report. Do you want to deal with those later on the agenda, or?
Yeah, they're on the agenda, I'll first be,
Okay, so the port account report. Here is not here. Last questions. We did the budget workshop. So, if we have any discussion on the finances, we have to entertain that discussion now. All right, so we'll go on to the board and the operating report. There's now, no further discussion on item B. We'll move on to item B. We'll be fine with that.
Yeah. So, again, we're having a very consistent container volumes, consistent KLB volumes, consistent with both offerings. And then, I'd say consistently spotty number and filing volumes. But they're just on a regular monthly cadence, so we see them before. So. The Great Lakes Barge is loading out for its second sale. For this month, with more volume than it had last week. So we continue to move on for these. See more of it.
So for the public garden and fencing over, how is that sort of a spelling and issues?
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
Great Lakes owns it, so they're doing that, they're loading out for the second season, it's going really well. They'll be more loaded on the sale than one on the previous, and we usually get one month, but it's negative, it's awesome. So it looks like steady growth for them.
Great. So what type of opportunities are you looking for to add to that?
So they're well, right, you can load on it and scrap on it. It's there. So I think they are too. Some of the inquiries we see a lot of just some paper inquiries, inquiries. We saw an inquiry for health controls. It could be vehicles, it could be heavy equipment for civil projects and things like that.
So you're mostly looking for everything going from the United States for like that earning?
Yeah, it's all see if they can go for it.
So it comes in empty.
It has, I don't think anybody plans for that to be like, but. Those are, not really, it's coming from, or you, so.
What's the travel time?
I think it's, and it's just, I have to do so.
We got swarm out there and then,
Yeah, I don't even know that, but this is a service that was offered there years ago, so it worked then, so. Yeah.
good report. So, I know we did get circulated, report from the bondholder, quarterly report, so that came out this week, saw that filing. And was able to circulate it to the board, and there was some discussion about the level of granularity in reporting. And so, whatever audit and quarterly financial statements, which usually people only can go on it. So on a quarterly basis, it's just going to be compatible. I think there's kind of maybe disagreement about what we were requesting. But I think what the board originally voted on was just consistent with what's reported to bondholders. Nothing more.
I haven't seen that report back, so I have to rub off to the back.
It's on the website, it was there, can see it. Okay.
Do you want a copy?
That would be very.
All right, and then for the issues and repairs update, did you have any, update on the crane? I noticed that they were running this weekend, so.
Yeah, so crane number 9 is running, the power crane, mobile power crane is running, crane number 10 is still offline. So we have people working on it to get back.
What's wrong with that?
It's a controls, controls issue. So it's similar to what, a lot of heavy industrial processes saw, in the early 2000s, where just older controls, replacement, parts, they were, made by manufacturers, not for there, when they weren't, and they were available on eBay for a long time, and now with the age controls, it's just tougher and tougher to get close to parts. So it changed the swap out layers that we require. It was trying to understand how many of them what it's saying.
So is that actually being worked or?
So we have a manufacturer representatives, we have Savage, tax, subject matter experts, experts. They're all, we're trying to work on a solution now.
Okay. Any other questions about the port repairs?
I have a question about the mobile parking crane. I've noticed it's been moved, and in order to get it where it's at, that crane had to be put on the ramp. Without assuming anything, I would ask, did Savage consult an engineer before they put that crane on the ramp? Because the ramp that it was put on is the worst one in the country. We even started 10 years ago having to stop using it for rebar because the concrete was peering away from the rebar. And, we use that ramp very little. And then when I go by and I see a, multi-ton, probably close to 100-ton crane sitting on it, I would assume, or would hope that there was some consulting with an engineer before that crane was rolled out on the ramp. So, is that a no, we didn't, or yeah, we did, or?
No, I don't know, I can follow up, I can find out,
And I also understand that during that process, there was a hydraulic. When I asked, was there any notification to the NRC, which is the National Response Center? I was told there was not. So I have a little concern about that as well.
Do you know the volume leak?
Pardon?
Do you know the volume leaks?
They didn't
come out say, they just mentioned that there was a hydraulic oil leak. I can tell you in the past, that if there was a core and a larger, the NRC was notified.
Yeah, it just comes down to the rules, and there's a certain threshold, if it's under that, you don't, if it is, if it's over that, you do. But I can follow up on it, maybe not.
Post like a 1-800 number or some type of like immediate contact line, so like if Ray or like neighbor sees something that they can call in, if they see something.
We just have our phone number that's on the website. Yeah. Yeah, that's the best thing.
Is that your number that's listed or no?
It's a business number, not this.
And is that 24/7 or just?
No. No. But if nobody answers, you leave a message, you will get checked.
Okay.
So
Like,
I'd say within 2 business days, we can get back.
if there's like a safety issue, like an imminent safety issue, there isn't really a direct line to you, you would just say all authorities.
No, if there's a, yeah, I would say that this is rare, but you know, somebody on the outside of the gate would see a safety issue and we need a safety issue, but we don't see it. But if nobody answers that number, you can just go to the gate and request it. That's the best protocol. I mean, if they're seeing something, they're close enough to go to the gate.
So what's the preferred protocol for Commissioner Nelson if he sees something? Is there any rule?
Oh, he has my cell, he has Kyle's cell, he can call.
I mean, under the protocol for achieving in water, we have a responsibility to notify the NRC.
Sure. Did you see one?
Any other questions about corporate issues or repairs? Next up is capital improvements. Are there any updates on our capital improvement plans?
No, it'll be the end of September before we have that.
And then as follow-up to our call with the Board of Works Council, did you have any updates you wanted to give on like grant allocations and percentage?
Yeah, it looked like there would be potentially some money from one of the grants. I can't remember the name, the COVID grant, which grant it was right now, but Mike's response was essentially that it would be possible that we could revive it and reallocate a portion of it, but his response is giving him confidence that that can be done or that it would even be material.
So this was under $150,000, or did you have?
No, he didn't, when he responded, he didn't give me the value of what that amount was. I don't think he had it. I think you could just see that it was paid in 2 tranches. So he suspected that there could be something there, but it would be a long process to go and try to revive it and try to reallocate it. The 150 was just what he suspected could be offered in this next season's grants.
Okay, so the discussion was just to go back to the Board of Works Council at the meeting coming up here in 2 weeks, and to request formally that they reallocate. I think it was $150,000 as an estimate of funds from previously awarded projects to be allocated to the Customs House, the CBP facility.
Yeah, that would be the request. I mean, the value, we don't know what it is. The 150 was just what is the new issuance. I don't know how it could be $1,000. So it's issued on a different timeline in that particular grant. It could be $200,000. I don't know if he didn't respond. It didn't seem like he was able to tell.
Okay. Well, they were open to this idea. They were open to the concept of the request.
Yeah, Mike, how I took it was he was suggesting it, that it might be possible. It didn't seem like he was the one to.
No,
He's
he's
definitely
not
not.
going to approve it. No, the board has to.
So, yeah.
So that's it, that's pretty good. But the idea would be that OVA would request at least, whatever we can get basically. But it wouldn't necessarily cover construction, but it may cover, engineering or pre-built work. So we should ask for whatever we think we can actually invoice for in the current cycle.
Right,
Right.
so who would do that reallocation request?
Well, when we're going to discuss before the first council, meeting, but whoever our representative is.
Okay.
They would bring that up at the meeting.
So the Florida Ports Council, we can give you more information about how is part of it was issued and has expired, it was over the 5-year mark. And then would you be able to figure out what amount was issued later or is not expired?
Yes.
Okay. And then I think if it's $1,000, maybe you don't have to bother, if it's significant enough, then it's try to reallocate.
Yeah, so Emily Fisher would be the one to advise on the amount that's left, but I didn't see that response came through.
No, it didn't seem like they could tell, or that they, so I guess is there another person that could find that out?
You can ask Mike.
Mike Rubin? Oh, he was the one that I asked that question to,
Yeah.
and he didn't tell us.
Well, I walked away from that meeting thinking that they were going to look back to see what amount of the grant funding had been allocated later.
Right, and so I gave him my email, so I sent the follow-up email, I asked him directly how much is that, and he didn't respond, it didn't sound like he could see the actual amount. He could just see the issue dates,
Okay.
so I was wondering if there's somebody.
Yes, so
who
what
not
we
have
need-
information.
What we walked away from that meeting with was that we need a formal request from that says we would like to allocate the funding from this current cycle for the Gustington Border Patrol Facility. Whatever is available, that they would reallocate that amount, and you had a project value of $2 million, which you requested.
Yeah, it was a total project, it was over 2.
So we need to send them, we need to, bring that request with us to the Board of Works Council meeting. And so what we need is a consensus from the board that OVA will be making that request at the Board of Works Council meeting to allocate the funding. And these are previously awarded grants that they would be reallocated to Gustington Border Patrol.
When is that meeting?
It's on August 28th. Actually, I think that's the meeting is on the morning of the 20th. But the Board of Works Council meeting is a Tuesday.
Do
Madam
you need
Chair.
anything from me to do that?
Yeah, we're going to need the meat of the letters, the description of the project, the amount that is needed for the project. Reference to the grant number that we're seeking to reallocate.
I forwarded, Mr. Hale, a sample letter that, Mr. Kaufman wrote to Chair Alex King. So I forwarded that to you, 2 letters as a sample, just to
Okay.
get you started. And, grant G 1938 is, remaining balance is $803. About 803,000.
Yeah, so it's just how much of that is not expired.
Okay, so do we have consensus to submit that letter requesting to relocate funding? Requesting house? Okay. Wonderful. Next up is old business. 8A, the pilot settlement, and this wasn't attached to the agenda, actual letter, but it was included in the under 8A pilot settlement. So you have that.
Mhm.
And this was approved by the city. We need to correspondingly approve the settlement letter tonight. So, Patrick, could you just tell us a little bit of background procedurally, why we have to approve this tonight for timing?
There's no requirement tonight that you approve it timing wise. I mean, there are timing elements amendments to the settlement agreement. The city approved it last week, so it's our turn. It reflects what was conceptually agreed to at the mediation on July 3rd. The city attorney routed the draft settlement agreement. We essentially rewrote it, and it contains everything that was agreed to. Just as a reminder, the settlement agreement requires that the city dismiss their case with prejudice. And then there's payment requirements on our part. The immediate ones are a $50,000 payment will be due no later than October 1st of this year. And then an additional $137,000 will be due within 60 days of the court's approval of the settlement agreement. $100,000 of that comes from the court operator, pursuant to the operating agreement. So a balance $37,000 will be due from OPA. So in total, over the next 2 to 4 months, let's say, needs to come up with $87,000. My recommendation was well deliberated, the way you see fit. My recommendation would be that you approve the settlement agreement, reflect all terms we agreed to, nothing's different, and then have a discussion with Pierre here about where this additional money is going to come from. For the total of $87,000, so $50,000 payment is due October, no later than October 1st, and then $37,000 payment that will be due 2 months after the court approves. Just to let you all know, once again, renewed our demand for indemnity and defense to the court operator via email. They had denied or declined that, but they do not have a formal response back. They have agreed to what we previously discussed about amending the tariff going forward. It's obviously going to take some time, and that thing was intended to pay for 2024. We won't be able to do that in time, so that's for future years. So those are kind of the immediate needs, and happy to answer your questions, but otherwise, again, the city approved this version. It's got everything we can agree to, and it's our current use.
So I do at our workshop, this did come up and discussion with Pierre and you come out of observe that $87,000. So yeah, we're all pretty much aware of that. If we're looking for a motion for this agreement, the settlement, I'll make that motion, so we can sell this and move forward. So
We have a motion and a second to approve settlement. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
So Chair, if you can sign it and present a legal copy, we have the version that was signed by the city, so that you can sign that one. Great.
Great. Okay. Next up is the Oprah property sale. This is the item that the majority of the public has come out tonight to hear. We have a listing agreement that's attached to the agenda. So one of the items that several of the members of the public have requested is that we, in addition to this listing agreement, that we include deed restrictions on the property.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So those are listed in the listing agreement so that the broker is aware of them and informs the buyers. This board has always discussed recording the deed restrictions in the public record. That's the only way to have a deed restriction. So you've always discussed that, contemplated that, as well as the intent. Given that you don't have a buyer, you don't have a deal in front of you. This is just for a listing agreement. So you don't know whether you're going to accept any offers. You don't know whether you're going to have one buyer prefer over another or anything like that. There is a requirement that the ultimately the board approve a deal with a buyer, so a purchase price and all those things. Once that is done, that's when I recommend that we prepare the restrictions to get through your approval. I do not recommend doing that now because you don't have a buyer. You haven't sold the property. You haven't agreed to sell the property to a buyer. You've agreed as a board to move forward. If you don't have a buyer in front of you. So I hate for you to put a deed restriction on a property that's still yours, still controlled by you, and then have to potentially go fix that later if you decide not to sell, or you don't like the buyer, you don't like the potential purchase price, those types of things. There's time to do this. I appreciate, the public's comments, and I leave those to you. To deal with, the standard practice would be to get a purchase and sale agreement. Within that purchase and sale agreement, you identify that there will be deed restrictions recorded. You draft those deed restrictions, and they are recorded simultaneously with the sale. That's how that normally works, and that's what I recommend you do. So I just wanted to put that out there. What's in front of you today is the listing agreement that's been modified based on previous feedback and sent back to the broker. Those items were agreed to, and have been incorporated into this version of the listing agreement. So all that's in front of you is to approve this listing agreement with this particular broker based on these terms and conditions. Not really during the course.
So I just want to remind the board that when we first started this process, that we committed to exploring other revenue streams for the property. Several people have asked me about monetizing the property, leasing it to the city for parking, pursuing any other means other than selling the property, which we haven't done. I don't think that it's fair to the public to sell land without having restrictions on how the funds are going to be spent. We still haven't received an actual business plan and how the funds will be spent. So I'm not in favor of approving listing agreement. We should correspond with budget to pay the $1,000 marketing fee, because it's very likely that the future board would not proceed with the sale of land based on my understanding of how those individuals would vote. So I don't think that this is right for consideration tonight. It is here on the agenda. Any motions or any discussion on it?
Madam Chair, we've talked about additional revenues and additional business come in ever since I was seated on this board. And if I'm not mistaken, to this day, with the exception of the former Crimson Bar, everything else has been status quo. So I'm a little concerned that we keep sitting here hoping that the basket's gonna fill up. And we haven't seen anything but a bar that I'm told is really not guaranteed in the future. If the service don't work, they're certainly not gonna come out of the Gulf all the way around, the tip of Florida and try to make something that won't work. We've had that barge here before. I personally worked that barge with 2 sailors. It didn't work. So they pulled out. So if we can get a long-term agreement, or we see a long-term agreement, then I will be more relaxed to say, yeah, you're right. But it's a tough business out there in the barge and the marine industry, highly competitive. Why would you come here when you can pick up the same cargo in the West Coast?
Is that what we're talking about?
She's talking about extra revenue to offset this. I don't see it, Commissioner.
Okay.
I don't see it. So we're sitting here saying, well, let's wait until we get some more. I've been hearing about this since I was seated.
Just to be clear, selling the capital assets is not considered revenue. Revenue is recurring. So if you wanted to lease the land, that would be a good argument to say, we want to lease the land to the city for recurring revenue. So that.
I mean, I thought that this was looked at some time ago, even before I was commissioner. I heard when I was working at the terminal, they're going to use it to parking for the different events that they have downtown. That never planned out, never worked.
It was purchased because EFTA told us that we had to have parking outside of the safety perimeter of the port. And so originally the board purchased the land intending to make it parking for customs and public parking for the port. And the city at the time said that they didn't want parking there, the neighbors didn't want parking there with the lights and, paving a lot. But since then, a lot has changed in the city and parking is an issue. So I think, given that we're considering selling land and building houses there, some of the neighbors are not opposed to parking anymore. But we haven't explored it as much point. And if we list it, we're listing it for sale, and we are closing the door to any revenue streams. So I just think we should pursue those revenue streams. That's always been my position. And it sounds like you're also open to that concept, but I think we need to take action on that.
Well, I'm going to deal with reality with our budget. There's not a person up here that can sustain their own budget on what we're looking at is a budget for 24 to 25. I mean, it's not good. And I mean, anybody in the rational mind will say, you know what, we have to make some changes here. And we have to step out and do things that maybe you wouldn't normally do, but we have to have sustainability out into the future. And I see, you know, hoping in one hand and wishing in the other, not getting us very far.
We're looking at $860,000 in our. One-time cash infusions are not a long-term solution.
I understand, but look where we would have been without
I think we were told what we could do and what we could not do with the dark fund. That was not me. You seen anything, but we're gonna use it. Do other things, and we couldn't. Here's that right there, oh, many times. Can't use it for that, can't use it for that. We even tried with the state, no, can't use it for that. We tried. We tried to get the board to avoid money. Sure did. So, the ARPA funds, you shouldn't bring that up. So, I'm willing to hold on this until we can get the broker in here next meeting and talk to him about this and see if he's got any options for leasing property. Because, he's not here tonight.
Okay.
If there is something, I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. But right now, I've been hearing the same thing for the last almost 24 months. It's just not working.
Okay.
So we sell the land. Then what? And that's been the biggest question. What's next? Where's that? Where are we gonna go return on investment? We sell that land and then, I mean, this time before, you go back and you start having to dip into reserves, pay for things, you know, legal fees, whatever pops up, because it's there. So what's that plan for us to sell this asset that we're not with this land? Pay taxes alone, I mean, it's there. And then we're gonna turn around and sell it just to get money back. For what? What's the reason?
Commissioner, we got property, which is an asset, it's not a liability. You can take that money that you sell, and I've only agreed from day one to sell one piece of property. And what that would be used for is to put it into a commercial investment account. And you can generate funds off of that. We don't have to sit here and say we're gonna spend it on equipment or anything else, because you got an operator that's using the facilities, should be maintenance in on that. So you can't go outside of your footprint. You can't use it for any expansion because we've already committed to no expanding outside of the footprint of the terminal. You can't do that. So you got a piece of property that you could sell, and you could put this board and the port in a much better situation than we are right now. And I think that if we can move to a more secure and sustainable future for the Port of Fernandina by doing so, I will support it. But then answer.
I agree with Mr. Nelson, and we voted to sell the property. It's already voted. Done. We have to figure out what we're gonna do with the money, and we'll figure that out as we go along. And again, I've said it before, this board is going to do the right thing.
What is your rationale for voting to sell the land?
Just like, Mr. Nelson has said, if you're in the situation, you've got too many, I need to sell my bass boat. If I'm gonna sell my best, but to keep going, then that's what I'm gonna do. This is, not a liability.
I mean, if you're looking for revenue from parking, from what I'm seeing, it's gonna be minimal, if not negative at best. The city has put in parking, and I'm sure people are glad they did. But to say that you're gonna park cars on those three pieces of property is not feasible.
I don't think you were on board at the time, but, we tried to get that rezoned for parking years ago. And we were gonna let the Catholic Church use the park on every Sunday, park on every. And the city turned us down for rezoning. I know there's a new commission now, and there'll be changes in the future, but, I don't think they're gonna change the zoning for, parking. No, they don't.
I mean, if you look at some of our industrial neighbors, they required, lots adjacent to their industrial land, and those lots may not be zoned industrial, but there's a value to this, to the industrial property owner to own those lots, control those lots. It helps to reduce complaints, and it helps to control sort of the flow of the neighborhood. And so I think there is a benefit to owning the land. I think we should explore monetizing the property if possible, for the concerns that, you know, Commissioner Nelson and Commissioner Fuller, that I think those are real concerns. If there's a way to monetize the property, without selling it, I think we should explore that.
We have two other lots we can do that with, and I haven't heard, anybody else on this board come up with any ideas about what they want to do with that property as far as using it for income, so. We're going to do it, let's get the broker in here next week, and we'll talk to them about it. Next meeting.
Okay, so the parking idea has been brought up multiple times, so I guess, now would be the time to get an alternate agreement in front of the board, for parking, if that's what I'm hearing. All right, so the next step on the agenda, if there's nothing else on that item, is 8C. Mara, this is, the revised purchase agreement that the board has seen. There's also a corresponding amendment to the operating agreement for revenue sharing and funds for instructions. So this is an action item for the board.
With that, and Chair, so the purchase and sale agreement and the amendment to the operating agreement they're not ready for action. The port operator has the documents and they're reviewing them. I'm not sure why the draft was included in the package, but I'll do their job running through the package for you. The operator has asked a question about the warranty that was originally purchased on the tug. And see, we have, I think, one document on that since the Pierre has those documents. So I need to get those to the port operator, to the attorney for the port operator. And we need to get their comments back on our comments to the purchase and sale agreement and to the amendment to the operating agreement that deals with, you know, where the vessel will be in the revenue sharing. So those items are not finished, they're not ready. For the rest of the board, Chair Hill and I had a virtual meeting with DOT last week or the week before last week, I think. And they're comfortable with everything, they've given us a letter. We just need to, when we're ready, we need to move forward and then get the reimbursed funds back to them. I will update them tomorrow on where we are, and I will find out from counsel for the operator where they are on their review. But unfortunately, we're just not ready to take action.
Okay. And the revenue sharing proposal, that's still being expressed as a percentage of revenues. Okay. And this is related to this item that might be something that Commissioner Nelson was going to discuss later. For an alternative purchaser of the tug, have any of the parties been allowed access to the tug?
Well, considering the ordeal, we had to go through to get some basic information and to get access to the, At the last that I talked to Mr. Hammond, he was in the process of discussing the issues with his boss. I sent an email out on 7/20, actually 7/15, asking him to please update us on their status. I got no response. I tried to call him several times and got no response. With the last one being today at 4:47. So with that being said, you know, if it was me, in this situation, I would do exactly what he's doing. I would go somewhere else and buy a tug that I could put into service tomorrow and be done with the shenanigans that are going on up here. So that's just, if he calls me, I'll update the board. If he doesn't, then you can follow suit with what you've got right now. But I think that's a questionable avenue.
We're gonna go along with that.
He never got any information until the last minute. I mean, they got to go in there and talk to their investors and their people and their finance people. They wanted to know this information, and that information could have been given us in 10 minutes. But we spent, I think it was 4 weeks trying to get it. So. I'll make another attempt tomorrow. So if I don't, then I'll respond with that answer through Roseanne, she can distribute it.
Patrick, is the deadline still September 30th? Still September 30th to permit the payment scenario? That's in the email that,
Yeah, that was just based on where we thought we were when we had a conversation with them. So what I'll do is go back to them and say, we're still, still ironing out some details when we get to the get their feedback. They are eager to finish this up. Obviously, they want the money back, they want to put it in use somewhere else. So it is something we need to take care of, but we've got to get these agreements finalized first.
I think that we need to have access to the tub to show that these other parties are interested. We have, this asset that's obviously appreciated, and we just talked about selling property, selling land because we have financial issue. And then we're not going to do due diligence on another asset, we're just going to dispose of it, that doesn't make sense. So we need to have access to that, we need to show it to these other interested parties, and if we need to, have Patrick write a demand letter, or if we just need to show up at the gates and present the flip card, Commissioner Nelson.
For third parties that access, the time they need to sign an access agreement, and we've already provided that. So they just, if McAllister wants to see it, they can sign an access agreement and go on.
But it's not your asset, it belongs to OPA.
But
You're not requiring an access agreement when OPA commissioners visit the board.
Okay, commissioner versus third party commercial, business operators, totally different.
Quick cards.
None of the internet access.
And then any other businesses conducted at the board, our customers don't have to have access agreements.
Yeah, they don't. And it's normal course of business. Trucker enters, they have access.
Is this standard procedure to require an access agreement to do a vessel?
I would have no idea. I mean, it's our facility, our vessel. I don't know who comes and goes. I'm not out there. I don't know what standard procedure in that regard is. I know that the agreement was forwarded to us, and I instructed Commissioner Nelson to never sign that access agreement, given why we did it. He forwarded it to McAllister. I didn't receive any comments from them. My understanding was that wasn't the issue from McAllister. The issue was they couldn't actually get to the vessel. It was not being made available. That's just my understanding from discussing with Commissioner Nelson and hearing what I've heard at these meetings.
When we went there to look at it, they had it locked up and couldn't get a hold of anybody, it got locked. I mean, when you go look at the most important part is inside. That's why he came back and he said, look, if you can just send me some pictures. So I made a call to Kyle Clark about a week, got in there, got the pictures, sent them to him, and then he made a simple request. Can you give me the hours on the generators and the engines? I need a copy of the DOI. I took photos of all that. But it took 4 weeks to get the hour meter readings. You know, I'm surprised he even tolerated going there and, you know, touch lots of it. Thank you. Nobody to assist with the anyway. So, I mean, it's not surprising to me that they kind of one of these companies. We, you know, our laws. in my opinion.
That is all it's like.
So if they sign an access agreement and they show up.
Yeah.
You're not gonna allow them access.
Oh, no. I said if they sign an access agreement, they can access.
But they didn't sign it.
They did not.
What did they sign it or not?
When he came there, nobody was there to even ask for one. Okay, so he got to look at the outside of the tugboat, but I mean, to me, that's superficial. I want to see what the engine looks like. I want to see the work that they've done. I want to see, I want to go into the wheelhouse. I want to go into the engine room galley and see what it looks like.
I would, McAllister sign a lot of access agreements. It's normal course of business, the terminal sports, it is. Our customers require them, that's just how it is.
I mean, if you had your way, I wouldn't even be allowed on the terminal. You tried that, that's not gonna work. So, then we tried to tiptoe around, you know, and try to conduct our business that we discussed openly in these meetings. So you were aware that Alice wanted to look at the tugboat.
We provide an access agreement. And we're happy for anybody to access the port, just has to be done safely.
And, I ran that terminal for 12 years. And I never put the restrictions on it that you got because there was no need for it. We never had, efficiency. We never had anybody just wandering around the terminal, by themselves. They were escorted, they were with management people. So, to me, if somebody wants to spend their time walking around with me, go for it. I don't need anybody walking with me, but if you want them there, that's your prerogative, that's your payroll, not mine.
Was given the access amendment, they sign it, they get one. Nobody does. They get it, they're sophisticated business people. So are we.
I think we're kind of past that point there, right? Because, I mean, again, and I'm looking here at this email, and I know Patrick said he's gonna talk a little more about it. We're gonna request an over remit of $1 million to Marion, that's for 30.4. I mean, we kind of gotta need to get those, the agreements in place. We need to get the revenue share opportunity, in place. And then we've got to be able to vote on that and then kind of move forward with it. So I think that really the sense of urgency here is getting the information, everything we can get, within a week or so we can then review it and then execute, so we can get Marriott their money, so I think that needs to be really the bigger discussion of trying to make this happen pretty quick.
Are you, if I may, are you meeting on the 28th? Is there another meeting this month? Okay, so I will do everything I can, final versions of these two documents in front of you by the 28th.
I also have to see the court's counsel, so we're commissioners now.
Yeah. So the issue there was that we wouldn't have an estimated value. So if we were able to give a tour to a buyer, we would have, you know, some sense of value.
Well, the contemplation behind the deadline that Commissioner Taylor is referring to is going down the path of terminating and reimbursing DOT, not of disposing of the vessel. The disposition of the vessel is something that this board is contemplating doing directly with the operator. It's not the avenue of fair market sale, reimburse them, I think it was 80 or 85% of that amount. So there are two different processes, and we, in talking to them, and you all were agreeing, way down the path of terminate the grant and return them their money. And with the understanding that that would be a separate, I hate to say side agreement, but a separate agreement with the port operator, that they would buy the vessel and we would take that $1 million and route it through us to DOT to reimburse them, terminate.
That's right. You might have missed the meeting when we talked about this, but the board determined that we wanted to have a third party look at the vessel, so we had a sense of what it was worth either way. Right?
Gotcha.
Just as.
But even if a third party is looking at it, you're not necessarily going to know that that's a fair market value. I mean, the third party might not even make an offer, and if they do, how do you know that that's a fair market value number, without getting it appraised? I don't know how you actually know what the fair market value is. If a third party comes and says, yeah, I'll give you $1.5 million. That doesn't mean that that's what the fair market value of the vessel is. That's just what they're willing to offer. So just throw that out. But I do think DOT, if we're headed down the path of terminating the grant, reimbursing them their $1 million, they want that done in the next couple of months, quickly. So if we're going down a different path, I need to let them know that and have a discussion with them about how long they're willing to let us continue to entertain these other ideas.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
If the Dollar Store is still interested in the, it's in evidence, they can't come and look at it if they agree to the access agreement. I don't know what's in the access agreement, if there's a problem with them agreeing to it, I don't know what they have to agree with, other than they have the right safety protocols and the right credentials. Once they take a look at it, they can make us an offer or throw a number out there if they're truly interested in it. But I know that our port operator is interested in it, so let's, if they're no longer interested in it, don't want to do it, we got to do have somewhat of a deadline to take care of this.
Both parties know that that logo was cashed out.
Any motions or other actions from the board? Okay,
Madam Chair.
yes, sir.
Maybe back up to the Oprah property sale, I was going to say this earlier, and you got into the next one. On page 27, in the agreement to the broker, we list the deed restrictions, acknowledge the acceptance of removing nuisance, and and 50-foot wide lot minimums and detached single family structures. All right, and it answers all the things that the public had said, except for the buffers. And we worded to some point to say that the buffers needs to be remaining if at all possible. Can you word it that way? Do you know?
I mean, you can, but the buffers are in the code, and so you'd be adding a deed restriction that already is in the code, as far as I can tell. And I hesitate to add deed restrictions to say if at all possible. Because what does that mean? Down the line, somebody would just say, well, develop the way we want to do it. That's not possible.
Right.
So I think you need to be really crisp and clean with what it is you're asking, and anything that is covered by the code should be covered by the code. Because the other thing you have to think about is these deed restrictions, if they were to be violated, it would be up to us to enforce them. So.
Tammy, I heard what you said, so I'm just trying to follow up and make sure we can meet those.
He wants to make sure that the buffer that's there now remains at all. That,
I'm following that, and but city has to.
I will get that in there.
Okay,
Make it legal. I'm all for it.
thank you.
Okay.
so is there anything else on the Marriott item 8C? Is there anything, okay, so now let's move on to 8D, the CBP project facility grants. So this item is attached to the agenda. There is the analysis from Siskevich with the options. And there was a request made from Kyle about looking to option letter D. Is that correct? Which would allow. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's not option D. It's option A.
The
So,
board chose option D.
yeah, the board chose option D. And as it turns out, there is grant funding for Customs and Border Patrol to be able to improve, or we could apply the grant funding to improve the existing historic customs house. If we keep with option D, which was the carve out of the historic house, then that's outside of the grant. So we can't use grant funds for the historic building. So the question was posed as to whether we can include the historic building within the grant and within the project space. And I think that was requested from, was it Kyle? What's in that request?
I don't know.
Because we don't have any corresponding funding for the historic customs house. And it is adjacent to the building being proposed for the CBP facility. So if that could be part of the project, and Customs have been utilizing that space, then there would be funding. We could apply for grants for funding. Otherwise, there is no grant coverage for, OPA's administrative office space, and that would just be, the building would just be a liability for OPA. So we'll bring it before the board, because it would require us amending that project scope to include the historic building. Do we need a vote on that, Rosanna, or do we just need consensus?
If you voted last time
Mhm.
on a particular path, you should vote again.
All right, so I would need a motion to include the customs, the historic customs house.
So moved. So was that?
A motion, a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, none, the motion carries unanimously. Okay, next up is 8E. OPA document request support operator update. This was one that Patrick said you were going to go through and just verify which items are still outstanding. Is that still on your list?
Yeah, and then you and I talked about it, and I know Commissioner Nelson, I think, got access to the documents, and then you were going to talk to Roseanne about one from them, remember that?
Which documents?
The vessel. document.
Okay, so this is the revenue, Yeah, we talked about this.
I have looked through them, they don't appear complete, it's really hard for me to know, just about, I'm not in the business of running a cargo. They're not very detailed, but pretty, and maybe that's just how they are. But a lot of times in that scope, when we were talking about.
You were going to use an associate to kind of run an analysis.
But then you mentioned you would have her then run through them. So if you want to talk about that, offline again about how best to do that. I don't know.
Would you be able to get with Rosanna to just do like a back of the envelope, like put that like calculation of what you think the revenue is?
Yeah, I can do that, but what I would caution the board on is just taking documents that you're receiving and saying this is the tonnage that was loaded to that vessel is not industry standard. What is industry standard is every vessel that worked. I paid a visit to the captain's quarters or the chief officers, and he signed those documents. Because he has to have some guaranteeing him that that cargo was on that vessel or was discharged from that vessel. If he doesn't sign it, anybody can put anything on it. So I would request that this board consider that when we are giving documents, you get one that's signed off by the chief officer or the captain of that ship, because that guarantees you that there's a correct and amount of cargo that was loaded with the stipulation, because it's happened in the past. Warehouse miscalculates tonnage. So anything that is amended after we receive the stamped document is turned over to us as well. The cargo weight can go down or it can go up based on the mistake. I've done it several times. I had to go back, and what happens is once those vessels submit that paperwork to the discharge report, if the customs in that country find out that it's not right, they seize that cargo. The government takes charge of the cargo. The customer don't get it. The government gets it because you filed incorrect documentation. So it's very, very important that you get the ones that are stamped off on, and that there's an understanding that if there is a mistake, we get the updated as well. Because, like I said, the cargo weight can go down, it can go up.
So I think this too, if I may speak to what we're looking at, I was only looking for charges related to service of the cargo, not cargo, not tonnage, not any of that. I was looking, when was the tugboat used and a customer billed just for that? So again, I generally know what I'm looking for, but, I found the documents to be a little bit not confusing, just kind of cursory, and maybe that's how they are. But I was only trying to find invoices where the customer was charged for the tugboat, not how much they brought in and what the cargo was or any of that. Which really is what I thought we were looking for, is what is the revenue being generated by this fund vessel?
There's a miscellaneous invoice that goes to all the agents,
Right.
that covers the security, the tugboat, and any other miscellaneous charge for that vessel is on that.
So if you want to talk, Sherry, with me again, or you want to?
Well, the comment was just made that you could do, like, I think in one of the meetings, you said, I can look at the vessel calls and I could give you an estimate.
I can look at miscellaneous invoices today.
Right.
It's pretty similar.
Okay. So we just need to do a rough calculation of what we think estimated for the revenue is, and I know there are some disclosures online, bond disclosures in the first year, because they said it was a unusual event, it was like a fixed cost basis asset, so I know there was some representation made in that first year. But in the subsequent years, it's not working on that granularity by asset. But I was just looking at Rosanna and maybe do those calculations for us, and she's already, the payroll, and we're trying to keep legal costs down. So, Commissioner Nelson, would you be able to make those minutes and call her and tabulate?
I'll get with her for schedule a meeting, I'll swing by the office.
Yeah, we tried to schedule a meeting, Commissioner Nelson and I, but just it didn't work out. So Commissioner Nelson, do you want to request copies of the mate's receipt? You mentioned that.
If all they're looking for, because there was some discussion one time about tonnage. So if you're looking for any revenue off the tonnage, you need to know the facts about it. If you're gonna drop that, this board is gonna drop that all together and just go with the total. That can be determined, just a matter of, 20-30 minutes looking at it. I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just worth discussing. So, but I think the priority is the time, because it's time.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
We need to know the tonnage because we're going to start invoicing the operator for the revenue share year 7, which starts in October.
And
So
when
we
you
need
do
all the,
reports,
I'm sorry.
I believe we'll get those reports. No? No?
I do not know. Well, we need backup, right? We need I mean, not to question your
fine.
reports,
Yeah.
but we need to see receipts. That's why I asked if we need a mate's receipt or a vessel schedule.
Look at what,
Obviously, it's a change.
Right,
and then we'll,
right. Well, that's why we talked about having forward statements, which is like the same level of what you give to bondholders, which is, I think it's, compiled. It's not audited, it's compiled financial statements. I'm not. Okay, yeah, so we do need whatever is being provided, you know, your interim, financial statements. And this did happen back when Morgan was the operator, because Open did have a share of Dr. Morgan's.
Yeah, we have to be careful, so they're not financial statements, they're just management reports, which are kind of. That's it. Yeah.
So who would be providing us to use that? Who is for the one person?
For now, let's just say it's me. We haven't started providing this yet, and I ended up checking in all of them.
Okay, and then maybe copy here, just so that you can validate that it's the level of detail. Awesome, great. Is it going to be recess? It's over there? Yeah, okay, let's keep going. Next up is the resiliency plan update. 8, and, again, we have a full report on resiliency and projects that need to be, we need to apply for grant funding, we need to prioritize, those projects. So we're keeping this on the agenda, just for regular updates, we should be moving forward. Part of the dock does flood, we have, part of the rail line that floods, and so what we're looking for is just regular reporting on pursuing those grants, and, you know, maybe we're gonna do some in-house engineering to determine what the priority projects would be. Maybe we go out and just the engineering component initially.
So we did that,
Okay,
and that was what that into the SED applications,
okay, so any update on that item?
just the calls we got. This
Okay.
week.
So I'm gonna move this, I'm gonna have Roseanne move this to the court operators report for the next regular meeting, not for the August meeting. But for these items, what we want to see is just like some activity or update where we stand in the application process. Something, you know, for the board, because in the grant cycle, it's like quick timelines to approve and make adjustments to grants or applications. So if you want to put something on the agenda for the next meeting, we've got to have a little bit of those.
The OPA controls that application.
Right, but you prepared it.
We prepared the data, so we provide a spreadsheet with all fields to check and copy paste. It goes through CSID. So all the updates come through.
Okay.
That's the only grant application or set of grant applications.
So Roseanne is the contact person for CSID? Are you the contact person for the resiliency grant?
I can access all the applications that were submitted.
Okay. So
She's
would
the
you
only one that's-
be providing that sheet to us?
I forwarded you all, oh, sure. We need to hear from FSTED if we're awarded the grants. So you will find out at the FPC meeting, whoever's going.
Okay. And now just give it the time as we talk about that. For grants, I have requested that Vice Chair Taylor attend the FPC meeting And he has tentatively agreed. So. You're welcome on that item. Thank you for agreeing to go. The Florida Courts Council is a 2-day meeting. It's really 1.5 days, and it's really important because they do need to approve reallocating funding. And they also, it's a good opportunity for us to hear what other boards are doing, how they're solving environmental issues. All the boards in Florida have similar problems that we have. We're all coastal, so low-lying areas. We have resiliency issues, they have resiliency issues, and so what we would look for is a meaningful report from those meetings. In the past, we've had all different levels of reporting from individuals that have gone. Rosanna got to attend, and she helps to bring back information, and I have to bring back information. But these meetings are only as good as, what we bring back, and also the representation that we give to the courts council, to the other courts. So thank you, Vice Chair Taylor, I know you will represent us well. And I'm excited for you, and I'm happy that you're going to go.
Changed the last meeting.
I was going to attend the meeting. I had asked Vice Chair Taylor to attend, and he was not available. I asked Rosanna to send him that information, and he said he's willing to go. So it's good for us to rotate that representation. All right, new business is the FMIT proposal. This is for our insurance provider for the coming year. For review. Is this action for tonight? Rosanna, do you need this vote on?
No, Pierre, Mr. Laporte asked me to go ahead and, attach this so that the board can review it, and then when he's back, you all can vote or approve. And he said all the, premium values are okay.
So is this is within the budget?
18,000. I think so.
It actually
Let me
went
just-
down, right?
FMIT, yes, because we don't have the port director's salary to consider for the workers' comp. So he did enter it in the budget.
I guess the question for the year, we first have that involved. Is that like not right now? I'm sure what here.
So, yeah, just review it. I distributed it to the full board.
So Pierre will be here for the August 28th meeting, or no?
I believe so.
You say that.
Okay. All right, next up is Commissioner reports and comments. 10A, new development reports. Any new development?
What?
Any new development reports?
I had a meeting today with, not development, board, but the committee board. Talked to. Four engineers about the building, they had their kickoff meeting today, so it was a meeting. And I attended that, it was basically, they got all the parties together that's involved in the dredging project. So they're coming to permits, exemption, any schedule, updates, or anything like that, and there was nothing new that came out of it. It's going to be about a year project before they get started on it, so, and there was no, the shoveling was not critical. They think they can get that done pretty quickly, and they're only going to cut 6 where the turnaround basin, turn basin is at the end of the property, the turn basin goes a little further south of what our wharf is, but that's the only place that's further still they've got it all organized, and they'll have to be in February, and not somebody will work for them. In the world.
Okay, great. Did anyone else have an item for the planning aid and community development reports? I have a couple items, and I'll bring them up very well. Just other items. Okay, let's do the committee reports then. For security, Commissioner Nelson.
On the Port Security, I was out there, this week checking with them. I usually make a phone call, or stop by a couple times a week. No issues with security. Everything seems to be working the way it should. The port facilities report that I get is pretty much a ditto every time. Actually, some of the information at the bottom has never changed, so it's still got July's date on them, and so I think, Madam Chair, I'm just going to observe my own. I'll put my report together like I normally did in the past, where it has some substance to it. On the FDOT, we had I was on the meeting by conference call with Christina and Rosanna. We were looking back at some of the old grants that are closed out, but are still missing some very important information. So the 3 of us will be working on that to get that information, to get it to where it needs to be in the system. Christina is right now checking with FDOT on, there may be some uploaded stuff that wasn't placed in the right place. So we're running through all of that. We want to get this all taken care of and everything secured. So moving forward, the active grants will make sure this information is in there before we move on. But there's a lot of work going on in that right now.
Okay. So did you want to did you cover port facilities already then?
Yeah, the port facilities, I mean, I was out there, noticing that the crane had been moved. We've already discussed that. He's pretty much given you an overview of what's wrong with the cranes. Like I said, I'll go out there, I'll do my observations, and I'm sure I'll get the shunning treatment, but that's okay. I can stand in the distance and tell you if it's right or wrong, but I'll pursue that. But as he reported, you got number 10 down, number 9 is working. You know, there was a couple of issues with the mobile harbor, but they've got those square place. They're working, and I didn't see anything on the report where there was issues with the trucks.
It sounds like for a lot of these items that you get a little bit of a around with a point of contact. Would it be helpful for us to designate or to request Savage to designate a point of contact for facilities issues or for access issues, and obviously you have to go through security? But I mean, I know Rosanna struggles with that, like for building, it's like we need to have a point of contact, and I think that's standard for government contracting generally, that you would, have a table and say, this is the contact person, this is their email address, they're gonna be available.
I mean, I'm looking at the report, the only thing that, they highlighted was 624 has a transmission. Everything else is no change. I didn't see a problem with the reports that I was putting in the past, but I guess I got too close to the edge and I wanted to start restrictions and stuff, so I'll work around those.
Well,
And we'll get the report on the equipment this commission owns. The rest of it, as long as they're not destroying the buildings and stuff, I would say. We need to make sure that whatever's being broke is fixed.
I mean, to me, that seems like that would be a benefit, would just be to have designated point of contact for particular issues.
At Grace Point contact is our,
Okay, so how far is for, facilities?
and status email, status phone numbers, and
And then, designated point of contact for the building issues,
representatives to reach out to Kyle Clark also.
how far is for billing?
Yeah, he'll call in to Mary if he needs to, he'll answer if he can.
Is that who you've been dealing with for billing?
I pretty much call everybody, but I've been calling Mary for questions, but sometimes she doesn't have the information that I need.
And it just seems to be Kyle. Hey, we're not, I mean, the two of you aren't flooding us with requests, it's okay. Let's Kyle's the point of contact, and y'all handle it, how you stand.
Okay, so would he be considered our designated point of contact for everything related to court?
For now, yeah. Yeah, if anything changes, if we can adjust, but for now, Kyle needs to do the point of contact.
Okay, and I think it would be good just to have that, memorialized in maybe a memo or something, I don't know if that's something that Patrick or Santa you can prepare, just so that we like formalize that that's the point of contact and some sort of acknowledgement from Savage. And then if that needs to change, we can notify if there's a change, like if they're out of town, we'll give us a backup.
Do you want it in a form of a resolution?
That would be great.
Okay.
For the next meeting. Okay. Customs House, we did already sort of cover some of that, Commissioner Forward, did you have anything else? The Customs House is the next commission report, did you have anything else?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Waiting on the grant.
And you already covered Army Corps?
Yep.
Okay, economic development, Commissioner Ball.
We had a BRE, the building retention expansion meeting, at the college, and that's very, very good speakers.
Did you attend that?
Again, I had a family works.
And then, did the economic development board appoint new officers?
I think that's what it's on, yeah.
And then emergency management?
Emergency management, we had Hurricane Debbie come see us. They didn't formally activate the EOC, but they had a skull there, I got them on the board. On the 5th, on Hurricane Day, I did go by there, but then came out to the port, and was allowed access to look at the water and see if there was any damage. There was none, so I gave my report back to them, but the port was in the port condition 0, which winds over 39 miles an hour, and the port was flooded, and got my information from Greg, and the report we had no mention, regular business, with no damages and no issues.
That's correct, I was again.
Okay, and did you have any name storm damages? Or not?
No, this is just a warehouse 3 week.
A week?
Yeah, that was what I was.
Yeah, that was a leak in the warehouse. Report that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna get warehouse expense or anything not. All right, great. Okay, and the TPO did not meet, they canceled the meeting, I think they didn't have a forum, but they are publishing surveys about what the public thinks that TPO should approve. And just as a reminder, TPO approves the Florida Department of Transportation work plan. So if you think that FDOT should be spending more money on signal optimization versus new roads, if you think FDOT should be spending more money on bicycle paths, or safety, those are the types of questions they're asking the public for in the survey. And TPO is the local representative body to ensure that the Florida Department of Transportation work study is reflective of what the public wants. So I encourage you to take those surveys, publish them on the website whenever they are available, and they. Go ahead.
You have the cards too.
Yes, we have.
And they're back there.
We have some cards that give you a QR code to take the survey tonight, like they're very short. Highly recommend participating in that. Technical advisory committee.
Yes, we did meet, and, I was going to talk about that, because we also talked about that there, but, appreciate it. Madam Chair. We also discussed the transportation improvements, program. They were looking to amend the 23-24, 27-28, plan, and, Old Nassau Bill, State Road 200 are on the list, for intersection improvements. So the next few years, we'll see some improvements there. Keep going, Nassau Chamber of Commerce, they have a business after hours tomorrow at Island Bank at 5 o'clock. It's always a great opportunity to go meet other people in the community, get ideas, your feedback on what the business community needs, what they're looking for. Always a great time. They also just announced their Leadership Nassau participants for this coming year. I know a few of us, I was in a class with Mr. Fullwood. I know Chair Hill went through. It's a great program, so we should all best of luck. And no comment for Green Beach, and no comment for Nassau.
For a day on the intersection of Nassau Hill Road.
I don't know exactly, so it's in that 3-year plan from, 23 to 24.
I know I heard this week that the road between the bridge and Nassau Hill Road is paved by the end of the year.
But that hasn't been announced by NDOT.
It was, being black.
Yeah. Right, say that.
Yeah, you published it on his Facebook page, but then I checked NDOT, and I didn't see an announcement, something like that one. All right, community outreach, Commissioner Fuller. Thank you.
I thought Tammy through email, for property, but that's the only thing I have.
Okay. Administrative office manager report.
Other than my, report that's included in the packet, may I do some reminders, please?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll keep it short, I promise. I still need some certification forms from the operator or Kyle Clark, to close out some of the grants. That was requested last month. I still have not gotten it. FDOT is doing the state economic impact research, and they hired Dr. John Martin to do the collecting, and he is unable to reach anybody from Savage, and he's frustrated for information. So,
Who is this?
Dr. John Martin, he's been, and you all saw the email thread with from John Martin. He's a little bit frustrated, but
Would maybe Virginie be a better contact for him?
What's he looking for?
It pertains to the port, changes in the port related to the economic impact. So I will forward you his email again.
Yeah, we can, let me take that one.
Okay, and you were copied.
Yeah.
And so was
Rings a bell
Amy.
now. It didn't seem urgent, didn't seem something like we had time for, but I can reply to him and tell him.
Okay, yes, please.
Okay.
And so, again, the meeting with the Florida Ports Council, they asked for a reallocation request, and at the time, Kyle Clark said there are no reallocation, but then again, we're considering reallocating G1938, and we need that letter to Chair Alex King to submit to the FPC meeting on August 27th through the 29th. And again, I forwarded you a sample letter that was written by the former port director as a sample. Okay. And the trade plaque sign, I guess you're in talks with, okay. I invited Miss Lorelei Jacobs to present at the Opus meeting about opportunities for funding the resiliency plan. I guess you're gonna confirm that with her. The CSX invoice, we paid that, $700, but I have a note here that says, should we be reimbursed from the operator on that?
Yeah, and I asked you to check with Bureau to see what he thought, based on like past practice and operating agreement, that would be something that would typically be reimbursed.
Right, and
He's out of town.
he's out of town. Just reminding. Let's see, FDOT requested an RFB. We need to start an RFB to start the grant G2437 pier improvements. So if you know, if you want to start that project,
Is that for the bumpers?
I do not know. I need to confirm with Kyle, but we need to start the RFP on that.
All right.
They reminded me at the meeting.
Okay, would you just send an email to Kyle
Sure,
about what they said?
sure.
Okay.
And then there's still some outstanding accounts receivable from the operator. I did not receive the August capital improvement contribution of $5,000. That's still outstanding. And I submitted US CBP invoices to be paid. There were 2 invoices and the quarterly maintenance contribution of $76,000. That's still outstanding.
What was that?
The quarterly maintenance contribution, that's for,
So that's the 5,000.
the 5,000 is the capital improvement contribution. And the quarterly maintenance contribution is the $76,000. It's paid quarterly.
Yeah, it's not the maintenance contribution. It's the,
I'm sorry, annual fee, annual fixed
it's the
fee.
compensation. Yeah.
Correct. And last, FDOT sent us a notice of funding opportunity, and I forwarded that to the operator to review and consider.
What was that
What
one?
was that one?
That one was about clean fuel, I believe.
Oh, yeah, we said no, right, we're not gonna do anything with it, so we're back on the EPA grant.
And that's it.
Okay, could you set a call with Kyle and Greg if he wants to, and me for Friday or, tomorrow, but early next week at the latest, just to make sure each of those items that we get taken care of, just to follow up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I exchanged emails and talked with Vogue about the Great Flex signage, and he provided some of the meeting minutes from that time period when OVA requested to have the land put claim from the county over to us, which is interesting because now we don't want to own it. But what Taco expressed was that it's possible that BOCC would be willing to take the land back. They are mowing it. They're not going to commit to any particular plantings or anything elaborate, but they're okay with continuing to mow it. And he said that they would probably be willing to offer us an easement for the sign. They really don't want the sign. And since they have been mowing it, I'm going to hear the board's approval or consensus if we would allow the county to have some wayfinding signage on that sign to direct the public to their facility in exchange for, taking back the land and mowing the grass, because we found out it's $490 to mow it one time. So that's a good deal, I think. If we want to offer that to them. But we also really need to talk with the other property owners, since the developers are interested in having their sign on the Great Flex entryway, or we want to put anything across the top, we need to manage it. It's our asset, so we have to plan for doing so.
So I think it's a little humorous that, when the Board of County Commissioners were, trying to relinquish this and give it to OPA, I was on the Board of County Commissioners and voted to get rid of it. And now here I am on OPA, trying to get rid of it. So I just don't like the damn thing. And no, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. If the county's already cutting the grass, I say let's just leave it as it is, allow them to keep doing that. I do think if, maybe adding some signage there is a, little in-kind, trade-off there, I think is, beneficial, would be great. And then have something in place where, and we talked about before, what is the cost to advertise on the sign? We don't know. Let's figure out $100, $150, whatever it is, and then, try to sell it to businesses in the back. They're looking and, there's ad space. Let's go for it and see what we do.
The county agreed to continue to cut that grass and maintain that.
That would be the request.
And we can get the, yes, I believe it out the trees or.
Yeah,
Just.
just move grass.
Yes, the quote that I gave out was for a cleanup, which was to clean up the palm trees, clean up everything, make it pristine. But all the county's doing is just knocking the grass down. So if that's what they want to do, okay, that's fine. And the reason they want to do it, because they have property back in the back, I understand now. So, but it was given to us and we took it on as a profit maker, or revenue. We could sell the spots on their signs. We had other spots besides the storage place. So we went back in the neighborhoods and offered them and see if they were interested in putting their name out there. That might generate some revenue for us.
So when they came up before, was there already, was there a plan with the cost associated with it, and the board go to the businesses and talk with them about?
Originally, it was just so that we could get that one guy on it, and then the one person, the RV storage place said that he would maintain the property. But the new owner says, no, I don't want to maintain the property, and you can take my sign off your board. So that's what we did.
I think we put a letter to all the property owners there, to see if they're interested in advertising on it. Why it would be, or why it would be. Before we give it away,
Yes. $25
Just to be clear.
or something along that line.
Just to be clear, the county doesn't want it. Okay,
Right.
they don't want it, so there's no option to give it away if you want it. What they expressed was that they don't know other people's property, they don't really know why there was a quick claim for the land itself, because typically they would want to run the right of ways. But either way, they're willing to continue mowing it. And what was proposed was that they would take ownership of the right of way. If we wanted to not maintain it, not responsible for it, they would happily take ownership of the right of way. But just not the sign, so they would give us back an easement to keep the sign there. So that's what was proposed. That has been approved by the full board, that has just been floated by the man. Okay, so it sounds like we have consensus to pursue, deeding back the lands. And then in exchange, like with signage in one of the squares, in the boxes,
if the county continues to maintain
if they continue to maintain the lawn.
that grass.
And then Rosanna, would you be willing to write to the property owners, just saying, we'd like to offer them a space? We want to say, what do we want to say the rate is
$100
per box?
Well, yeah, well, much, there's, what's it, box of 27. Or 6.
4 boxes on each side.
Or,
So one would go to the county, so that would be 3.
if they want,
Okay,
they continue to maintain.
great. Thank you for getting consensus on that. And thank you to the member of the public who brought it up. All right, any other items for the good of the order? This means adjourned.